certainly going to elevate everything that we do here at the Jackson Center, from our programs and our lectures, but we value being a community partner. And all of this will be available to our community starting, actually, Ed, is it this Friday night? This Friday night, A Christmas Carol, Mike Thornton Productions. Is that the name of the, yeah? I'll call it Mike Thornton Productions. MTA Productions, 2 weeks of A Christmas Carol. So if you really want to see what these lights and the sound and the speakers, what everything can do, come back and see that. And then come see all of our programs starting in January. I'm not going to get into that because other people are going to talk about that. I am your pre-show. I am over, and I am proud to introduce our board chair of the Robert H. Jackson Center, Phil Nelbone.
Well, thanks, David. I have some prepared remarks. Shouldn't take more than 45 minutes or so. So, the man I'm about to introduce needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway, and there are two reasons. The first is that I really like standing up here, acting all official and influential. But second, and more important, this individual deserves an introduction. In fact, he deserves more than an introduction. He deserves a tribute and a heartfelt expression of our gratitude. So Greg Peterson envisioned an active and enduring memorial to the legacy of Robert H. Jackson. And from what I can discern, that vision has been realized. Now, I'm mindful that a lot of people did a lot of work, a lot of very hard work in the early days of the center, but it was really Greg who set in motion the 25-year journey to where the Robert H. Jackson Center is today. A nationally and, in fact, internationally known source of education about the rule of law, the legacy of the Nuremberg trials, and the importance of Robert H. Jackson himself. Greg, you know, I wanted to do something personal for you to acknowledge your pivotal role in establishing the center. I'm still trying to come up with something. I reached out to the center staff and asked if I could buy a brick with your name on it, but I was informed that there are already several bricks with your name on it in our walkways. So the good news is people will be walking all over you for generations to come. So for now, all I can do is say thank you for 25 years of serving the needs of the center, and I would like to welcome you to your rightful place right here at the podium. Thank you, Greg.
Wow, this is great to have this incredible facility, the Carl Kappa Theater, and to have Jeanette here, Carl's sister here, who made sure we are here after 25 years. This is her special magic. Jeanette made sure every dollar we received was accounted for. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And she's front row to make sure I'm accounted for. Lovely. And Raleigh is over there, well away from Jeanette. So it brings back just phenomenal memories of a place which I'm so thrilled, just personally, and you'll hear me with a little video talk here in just a second, so it'll be very short. But that this facility that we have here today, which has become state-of-the-art, even more state-of-the-art as we walked in today, wasn't that way 25 years ago. I mean, those who were around can attest to it. And it was rough condition, but it took a village and then some. And most everybody here has been part and parcel of that incredible journey, which I can't believe is 25 years old. So what you're going to see next is a brief, probably not so brief, video clip of the early days. Kristen gave me 10 minutes. That wasn't going to work. So take a deep breath, and we'll walk down memory lane of the first few months of this place. And hear some voices of people that were incredibly pivotal to making this all a reality. Hi, my name is Greg Peterson. I am often asked the question, how did the Robert H. Jackson Center begin? What was its genesis? Names I want to address that were instrumental in the formative years. The Honorable Sandra Day O'Connor, Eugene Gerhardt, Dan Bratton, Carl Kappa, Betty Linnae, and Stan Weeks. Through the encouragement of the Gebbe Foundation in 1996, there was a project to erect a statue honoring Robert H. Jackson. And that statue was sculptured by Dexter Benedict and was unveiled by the Honorable Sandra Day O'Connor. I was in attendance, as was several dignitaries throughout Jamestown, and the essence of her speech was,
we're remembering today a product of this community and of its public schools. The most treasured honor that anyone can receive is one that comes from one's hometown, from those who knew the honoree first and best. So it is today. Robert Jackson, one of the finest justices ever to sit on the bench of the United States Supreme Court. Robert Jackson is a product of this wonderful community, of its soil, of its people, its public schools. It was here that he learned his lifelong curiosity for knowledge and inspiration to seek self-improvement by hard work, and the courage to take responsibility.
was taken aback by all of that, but also awed by the fact of who spoke those words. And perhaps subliminally, in the back of my mind, I said, we at the members of the Jamestown Bar Association at least should do something. During that time period, my boss in Fredonia gave me a book authored by Eugene Gerhardt called The America's Advocate, of which I read and found out that he in fact was alive in Binghamton, New York. 2000, traveled to Binghamton to interview Eugene Gerhardt about his work on what turned out to be the first biography of Robert H. Jackson. Thereafter, I did a series of interviews with octogenarian lawyers in the Jamestown area who were part of the Robert H. Jackson funeral in 1954 at St. Luke's. Their memories of having met all 8 of the surviving Supreme Court justices who came to his funeral, which was unprecedented then, unprecedented since, never occurred. As part of that, it included Stan Weeks. Stan Weeks was a 33rd degree Mason, as was Robert H. Jackson, and he was actually an acquaintance of Robert Jackson. While I was doing that project, I had a chance to interview Carl Kappa, who had received the Chautauqua Region Community Foundation award, the John Hamilton Award. I asked Carl who was his role model as an Italian and American in Jamestown in the 1930s. And I would have bet the ranch he would have said Joe DiMaggio.
Was there a role model that you had when you were growing up?
Jackson never got the recognition he should have from Jamestown area.
Robert Jackson.
Yes,
Yeah.
Robert Jackson. I really don't. I'm not an attorney or anything, but I do think he was one of the greatest living Jamestonians. And I don't think he's got the recognition he should, my personal. And I think he's a great accomplishment for Jamestown or somebody we should be really proud about. I really do.
And I had no idea that there was even a seed of Jackson Center concept. I saw Betty Linnae and I said, you know, your next door neighbor, I met him, we talked about a project that maybe he might be interested in on Robert H. Jackson, a native. And he goes, well, if he's interested, let me know, keep me posted. It was very, very polite. And fast forward, we had a meeting on December 14th, 2000 in my office, which included Carl Kappa, Betty Linnae, Tom Cardman, Phil Morris from the Arts Council, who was sort of my muse, about the concept of maybe there ought to be something honoring the Robert H. Jackson. At that time, the Arts Council had already completed on Pine Street a Lucille Ball exhibit, which was basically posters, a little touch screen, and one of the right next to the town club. Well, ironically, there was a similar long building vacant to it, and I thought, well, all right, we should raise money and put something in there with, again, pictures, Nuremberg, and other things on Robert Jackson. That was the concept. Re-enter Stan Weeks, who said, if you're ever interested in doing something on Robert H. Jackson, the Scottish Rite Consistory building, which we're currently filming in, is available because the Scottish Rite Consistory is contemplating selling it. And since Robert Jackson was a 33rd degree Mason, it might be appropriate to have such a center here. This building's 19,000 square feet. I'm not sure what we would do with 1,000 square feet, but nevertheless, I came and met with Carlton Winchester and a few other people here at the Scottish Rite Consistory, 14th. I put in an offer in my own name to the building, matching the price that was ever offered, and I didn't even know what that was. I just left it blank. I said, I'll match it. And so I was told at that time when I delivered the contract that shortly thereafter, like within a day or two, they were going to vote on a prior contract offer that was being presented. We're going to vote on it. And I go, oh my gosh, we're not ready. We're not ready. So I asked Betty Linnae. I called her, and Betty Linnae was kind enough to call Judge Cass, who was a Mason, and implored him to see if they could stop it. So I'm not sure what happened, but there was a Masonic injunction stopped the vote on the sale of that building. Subsequently, I had a chance to meet with all the Masonic members and made the pitch. And without getting into a lot of detail, and I have gotten into detail on other things, we were successful with that. Now we've got a contract on the building, my name, and I go, gee, I would hope that we are able to assign it to an organization. I then convened a meeting in the theater and invited those members who attended at December 14th meeting there. And in attendance also included Dan Braden. And ironically, Dan is having lunch with me prior to the 1:30 meeting. We were talking baseball and his retirement, and which include Harold Adams, who was the nephew of Robert H. Jackson, without any advance warning. Carl Kappa said, well, I'm at a point where, this is my last big adventure, and I'll be happy to commit $500,000 to this project. And Betty Linnae was sort of tears in her eyes, sitting next to Carl, put her arms around him, and they weren't really close friends. They were just neighbors, business neighbors. Said, I will match that. And so Tom Cardman was there also. I'm sort of kind of looking, like him. He represents Gebby, and he said, I can't commit anything. But clearly, if Betty's involved and Carl's involved and others are involved, we'll certainly do our best. We're leaving the meeting to go downstairs and do a quick tour. And Dan Bratton puts his arms around me and said, even though I'm retired, planning to go to Arizona, I'll be your executive director. I can give you X amount of time, and I'm your man. And I go, wow.
Really, it was kind of out of the blue. Greg Peterson here had an interest in the Robert Jackson Center. I was looking for opportunities to use my time to the benefit of the community. And there was a lot about this project that interested me. I'm a history buff myself, and for being able to hone in on an American historical figure like Jackson is a great opportunity.
It all began with a telephone call in 2000. Greg Peterson asked me if I would go over to his office. He, Carl Kappa, and I said Betty Linnae. Greg had amassed more information than you could imagine and film clips, all on Robert H. Jackson. More meetings and phone calls followed from that first conference 5 years ago. Mrs. Linnae and Kappa knew something was up, but neither quite understood at first Peterson's infatuation with the late Supreme Court Justice and native son would turn into a call for a museum and a learning center, the Jackson Center. After a time, we knew we could probably help Greg get this thing going, Mrs. Linnae said. And help they did. Both the old schoolmates lent their personal support, lobbied the right people, and donated $500,000 each to get the ball rolling. Quote, I thought it would be wonderful if we all got to know this man of whom we should all be proud, Mrs. Linnae said of Justice Jackson. I see it being one of the most important things in Jamestown that ever happened. Wow. Wow, within a period of 30 minutes, we got commitments probably up to $1.5 million on this building and an executive director of the highest renown in the community in Dan Brad. It was magic. And so that was a day which we got really started. We went downstairs, and I got to tell this one vignette. As you walk downstairs, you go into the kitchen, there was a incinerator there, and there it said, the name of it was Jackson. It was Jackson. You got to be kidding me. We actually reconvened the meeting to sort of an update, and at that time we named the theater the Kappa Theater at that time, and it was very emotional, and we signed papers to be an incorporation. We were incorporated like in March of 2001.
We should start working on something, a big project.
The big mistake was letting it be recorded.
It says 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, or what sort of house I lived, or the kind of car I drove, but the world may be a better place because of me. And I keep that right here.
That's enough of that. that's one of your schmooze. In March of 2001, we owned the building, which included leasing back a good portion of the building to the Scottish Rite Consistory and related Masonic issues in April. And we wanted to do a magic moment to really launch, and so May 1st, Law Day, seemed to be a logical day in which to do that. Terrible. The building was in terrible shape, leaks all over the place. We worked with Bush Industries, Paul Bush, Lorraine Melise, and others, and they came up and completely redecorated the entire basement with the help of a whole lot of docents and volunteers, including Fran Galbato and everybody, to make it look like it was special. We were able to get Eugene Gerhardt, who was the biographer here, to do the very first event. So that was May 1st, Law Day, 2001, which was a magic moment.
I feel as if I'm coming home, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to pay our mutual respects to one of America's greatest lawyers, United States Supreme Court Justice Robert H. Jackson. Without hesitation, I regard him as one of the outstanding advocates of America.
And a kudos to Chris Herbst and the Jamestown Post-Journal for they, on their own initiative, from his mighty pen, Robert H. Jackson, dated April 30th, 2001. And so we, the Robert H. Jackson Center, was formally launched with a program with the biographer Eugene Gerhardt on May 1st. And that was really a magical, magical day. One sense of thought is the tremendous support we've received throughout the community, donations, educational institutions. It has been very reaffirming in seeing that reaction to what we have tried to accomplish.
Thank you all for your patience, and I promise it's not too much longer. But first, I wanted to invite Missy Paternity up. She has a few proclamations for us.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, everybody. It's an honor to be here tonight in place of Assemblyman Andrew Molitor and Congressman Nick Langworthy. On behalf of both the Assemblyman and the Congressman, I thank you, Greg. This is wonderful, watching this, standing here, seeing all the people. This is what Jamestown is all about. I'm born and raised in Jamestown and moved away for a little while, came back, and to see the growth, to see this wonderful thing happen right here. So on behalf of the Assemblyman, we congratulate you guys on 25 years. It's a wonderful honor. And also, on behalf of the Congressman, he also wishes he could be here tonight, and he congratulates you also. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know, it's a little bit weird for me because our 20th anniversary was during COVID. And so that was it was a lot of virtual celebrations. It was a lot of remote recognition. And so it is truly our pleasure to host you here today for our 25th as we officially kick that off. And so thank you so very much for joining us for Founders Day this year. Before I begin with what I promise is a short chat, I want to begin with gratitude. So first, thank you to the Weinberg Financial Group for helping to underwrite this evening. Thank you to Vicki McGraw and Elegant Edibles for all of the delicious food that you are enjoying. And I hope that you've had a little bit of a chance to explore the mansion, and feel free to do so after this as well. All of the holiday spirit that is created in our building this year is due to Peapod and Juniper in the Grant Room, Francesca's in the Mansion Hall, and David Metzler, Ruth Baker, and Jim Cricks in the Weeks Room. We are also very grateful for our team of elves, Nancy Tuccio, Pam Triscari, Patty Lamancuso, Chris Anderson, Sue Benson, Marianne Alpa, and Mary Laird for their assistance in giving the center its holiday glow up. And as you all know, this is a team effort, and so deep thanks to our fabulous team, Sherry Shutter, Elizabeth Hosier, David Niles, and Kenny McDonald, for all of the ways that they have leaned into our goals and our mission, how they have shared their creativity, and for all of the help that they have given the center to succeed. We all benefit very greatly from their passion and their commitment. So as you've heard a little bit tonight, we are kicking off a banner year. And in fact, we're kicking off a number of banner years. So first, next year is the 250th anniversary of our country. And the center has a long history of civics-related programming, and that will absolutely continue next year. So for 1A Day in January, our educator seminars as well as the resources that have been expanded on our website for educators and teachers. And all of this will culminate in Constitution Day next year, where we hope to have something fun to announce for you all. Second, it is the 80th anniversary of the International Military Tribunal at Nuremberg. Almost from the moment Elizabeth joined us as our inaugural Director of Programs, she began working on an ambitious endeavor. She pulled together more than a dozen organizations from around the world to provide space to talk about today's challenges in the international world, to honor Jackson's legacy, and to really commemorate this auspicious occasion. The series officially began on November 21st, the actual 80th anniversary of Robert H. Jackson's opening statement before the tribunal. And it will run through next October. So for the entire duration of the trials themselves, there will be one program a month. You are welcome to now join us here to watch them. They are virtual, and we will certainly happily open up our theater so you can experience them here. I also will direct you to a brand new exhibit in our banquet room, Robert H. Jackson, A Legacy of Justice from Nuremberg to Today. It is a work in progress. And by that, I mean there will be pieces added to it as the year goes, so you have reasons to come back multiple times in 2026. And as you've heard already, we are kicking off the start of our 25th anniversary. And as you heard from Greg, our official birthday is this coming Saturday. And thanks to Greg, you've learned our history. For 25 years, we have brought historic figures, renowned authors, passionate practitioners, legal luminaries, trying to see how much alliteration I can get in here, and teachers of all kinds to Jamestown, to Chautauqua County, and to your computer screens. We have hosted conversations on challenging topics, created informative exhibits on Jackson's life and legacy, augmented student education on the Holocaust, civil rights, the legal system, history. We've inspired interns and fellows to pursue their dreams. And frankly, we've educated anyone who would stand still long enough for us to do it. So for our 25th anniversary in 2026, we have titled our theme, 25 Years of Asking Questions. One of the fundamental concepts of the center is that we do not tell you what to think. We give you access to experts and information and the tools to help you determine how to think and why you think that. These programs in 2026 will lean into this deeply, starting with January's program on January 9th at 6 p.m. in person here in the theater. We will be hosting Aaron Sakin, a former investigative journalist turned First Amendment lawyer at Hodgson Russ, under the provocative title of Do We Still Believe in Free Speech? And we've been asked many questions about the Nuremberg movie. We're thrilled how many of you have already seen it. We hope that you will also join us on January 30th for a special screening of Nuremberg at our partners, the Reg Linné Theater, and for a talkback with the author Jack L. High, who wrote the book that the movie is based on. You can purchase tickets through our website, which will take you to the Reg, or you can purchase from the Reg directly. So I recently looked up some statistics. You know, lawyers, data, we're all over this. More than half of nonprofits do not make it beyond 5 years. And 30% do not make it beyond 10 years. And the numbers after that are not reliably tracked because the data size is so small. The numbers that we have, 25 years. That's quite an achievement. And we know that's because of you. So I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine the following. A student sitting in class. Maybe they're an eager student, ready to gobble up all information. And as they mature, those early ideas will connect with other thoughts, other education, and truly blossom into deep commitment to being active in their communities. A high school teacher who is looking for information and ways of teaching that will spark interest in both the engaged students and those who need a little more attention to grab them. They actively seek out ways to infuse art and music and history and language into their lessons in order to help students see how many ways there are to understand an idea or to solve a problem. The lawyer, trying to understand how to navigate complexity, not only in the law itself, but in its practice, since very few issues are black and white, or lend themselves to a quick and easy response. They need guidance to determine whom to prosecute and why. They are looking for inspiration on how to give advice to power. And they are at a crossroads and need to determine how they hold themselves accountable. Can you picture your neighbor? Maybe it's one you see eye to eye with on politics. Maybe it's your neighbor who you never agree with on politics. You come to a place to sit down with each other to discuss a town proposal or the practical implications of a Supreme Court case. You might even be surprised to see each other there for that discussion. The conversation is active and respectful, and by no means does everyone leave agreeing with each other at the end, but now you understand where they're coming from. And now I want you to imagine that world without the Jackson Center. As you saw in the earlier video, the Jackson Center, the creation, and our earlier years, we have long benefited from visionary thinking and your desire to support and promote our endeavors. For the last several years, we have chosen to dedicate this evening to a special group of people. Over the years, we have honored our founders, we've honored Greg specifically, we've honored our board, past and present. We've honored our docents and our volunteers, many of whom are here with us tonight. So tonight, we would like to say a particular thank you to all of those who have created endowed funds that have helped to underwrite our education offerings and public programs. I'm not sure, Tori, you'll have to check me on this. I believe we have the largest number of funds at the Chautauqua Region Community Foundation to support our work. Thank you to all of you who have helped to support our operations, our lectures, our student programs, and our interns. You know, the typical line here is that your support has been invaluable, but we know exactly how to value your work because we see it in those who come to visit us and those who are educated by us. As you might imagine, running an organization entirely through philanthropy isn't always easy. We have the right pieces in place: an engaged board, a high-performing team, public recognition of Jackson and his legacy is at an all-time high, and we have all of you. In order to respond to current events, provide a safe space for discussion and debate, and develop education opportunities for students and teachers and the public, our only limitations are our imagination and our resources. So I am delighted to announce that we are entering a critical phase in the center's growth and success. You have long heard us say that everything we do is free and open to the public. But there are costs to that that no one sees: honoraria, operational costs, staff time. And so we will be making a concerted effort, the foundation of which begins now, to ensure the center has the resources it needs to not only meet the current demands for the history and the legacy that we shepherd, but to enable us to grow as our communities have asked us to. Let's meet back here just about a year from now and see what update we have on those efforts. We are 25 years young, and we are just getting started. So if you would join me in raising a glass to those who have established endowed funds, to our team, our board, to those who have helped grow our endowed funds, to our volunteers, and to each one of you. Thank you for aspiring with us, for inspiring our work, for supporting our mission, and for being with us on this journey. Thank you for caring about our work and for caring about each other. And we hope you take a little bit of Jackson with you wherever you go. Happy holidays. So we invite you to explore the mansion, to explore the exhibit downstairs. Please frolic and revel as you see fit.